Paradigm Review Show. Welcome to the channel. Myself, Jack Death, aka Mosh Shinobi. You can follow him over at Mosh Shinobi. We're currently dual streaming on both channels, PXF and Mosh Shinobi. I am Ross Shimada. That is a copy of Toshiro Mifune's last name in this film, as I so often do. We could get a quick second to warm up here, guys. Just let the signal go out. Sorry about the audio issues, guys. We were troubleshooting it in the background, and every once in a while we do get hit. I just updated to Windows 11 yesterday, so a little bit late to the party, and we weren't sure if that was going to have impact, but it didn't seem to. I can give you guys a little bit of news. So, as you know, the main series, Zodiac Files, episode 5 and 6, completely shot. So I'll be heading over to the editor's house tomorrow to work on episode 5. Next week, all you Zodiac heads are going to want to tune in. Badlands. Badlands is a Martin Sheen movie that was popularized in the Zodiac community by the Badlands letter sent by the Zodiac in the mid to late 70s. So we'll be talking all things Badlands, maybe throw up the Badlands letter for you guys and go through that a little bit so we can see what the Zodiac said about the movie. He had some criticisms. Interesting for a psychopathic serial killer to complain about a violent movie being promoted in the newspaper, but doesn't get any more Zodiac than that, does it?
I've been interested on that.
After that, Enter the Dragon. August 16th, we may have Lauren Lepre of Average Superstar Films TV channel joining us. And then you guys wanted Blade. So we're going to give you Blade the following week, last week of the month, summer, August. I am going to be remote, but Gaz and I are still going to try to pull off the review. And that's the Toxic Avenger remake dropping. So that will take us out of August. We have a full schedule for September. We'll announce that as well, which will take us into Zodtober. And that's where we'll get back into our horror movie bag for October. Who knows? Depending if me and Gaz are feeling froggy, we might even do some paranormal for you guys.
Yeah.
So,
just quickly looked up Badlands, and I'm actually quite stoked to get into this because one, it's out my comfort zone, so I always like looking at things I'm not too familiar with. And it's got an interesting cast as well. Sissy Spacek is in it from the Carrie movies, so I'm curious to watch this, Ross.
Yeah, it's my understanding that it's like a predecessor to films like Natural Born Killers, Devil's Rejects, that sort of thing, but a lot more grounded. It's about like a man and female duo that team up and go across, do this killing spree across the country. But it's also loosely based on real events, so we'll get into that as well. But anyway, Zodiac Goes to the Movies series. We have quite a few of those for you guys, so it's not just Badlands. We'll also have Rampage, which is Most Dangerous Game derivative, and then Vanishing Point. And, I'll pull up the ZodiacCyphers.com articles on all those when me and Gaz do our deep dives. It's obviously Richard Cornell from Coventry, UK, a major Zodiac researcher. So, as always, any questions, throw them in the chat. Just keep it locked. I know we missed last week, guys. It was totally my fault. I had stuff going on. As you guys know, I'm in like the last week of my second to last semester of grad school. So didn't get to watch The Sword of Doom last week, but got to watch it last night. And Gaz is up on it as well. So without further ado, and this is interesting, guys, because it is a non-Kurosawa samurai film. So at least the first non-Kurosawa samurai film that we're reviewing and taking a look at, and quite a difference in terms of directorial style, Gaz, and angles to what Kurosawa, to what we discussed in the Kurosawa projects. So I think that should be interesting.
Much more psychological.
100%. Yeah, this is almost more of a, as Gaz and I were discussing last night, psychological, and I would argue style and aesthetic closer to horror. It gave me like vibes of like Psycho, The Shining. It's really, as I described it to Gaz, this is like a samurai version of The Shining, which in my opinion, whether I got that wrong, you guys can feel free to agree or disagree in the chat, in the comments, as always. Without further ado, about 5 minutes in, we get into our synopsis. Genre is action, epic, samurai, action, drama, and then honestly, it's like probably an early multi-genre film because, like me and Gaz said, I really like Gaz said psychological thriller. I absolutely think, and even it's vibes wise, mood wise, it's very close to horror as well. The Sword of Doom, 1966. Through his unconscionable actions against others, a sociopath samurai builds a trail of vendettas that follow him closely. Directed by Kaihachi Okamoto, and obviously starring Tatsuya Nakadai. He's Ryonosuke Tasuki. Then you've got like the female leads, Ohama and Omatsu. And then other main characters, Hyoma. One thing that's interesting, we'll cover his battle, is Toshiro Mifune is he's kind of like an elite cameo in this one, guys. He's not the lead at all. They just kind of throw him into a random fight as like a veteran samurai.
It's a good moment though.
He plays Torano Suki Shimada. So I was kind of like, when Gaz told me like, hey, Mifune's fight was insane, like I was like looking for him, but he really didn't pop up until, I think that was more than the first hour. So we'll get into his scene as well, which I thought arguably the best scene in the movie. Use of elements, Gaz, very Kurosawa-esque. Of course, you've got the rain early on, the Japanese summer. Have we seen the snow in the fight scenes yet? I think this is the first time I've seen the snow. I don't recall it in at least the other two.
First time that that's so far. For the movies we've covered so far.
Which I think worked, because Japanese winter is a big thing. Almost all the films you see in the seasons, it's like always summer. Obviously easier to film in the summer. But I thought that was really smart by this director to include that winter. Obviously a very hyper-violent film. You could argue grindhouse elements. And yeah, I just thought that obviously Mifune's scene was a snow battle. Also some other snow sequences as well. It looked really good. I don't know if they had to wait until it did that, or if they had a way to fabricate it by 66. Because I think when we were doing the early Kurosawas, like mid-50s, I don't even think they had the tech to fake the snow yet. So interesting to see the technological development there, if that's what happened.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the contrasting elements with the weather, various filming angles. Yes, different to Kurosawa, but still showing you, I think even more so actually with it being that psychological element, because you could argue with the horror aspect you mentioned, Ross, as the film develops, you could even put an argument for themes of possession. We see that of being enslaved to something evil, then that makes that person's mind evil. And not to give a spoiler away just yet, but there's a whole scene that kind of really delves into that area, and it's really well done. And the fight scenes, considering this is 66, they are pretty grindhouse and grimy. It's
very grimy.
It's just done. Very realistic.
If we talk kills, so the sword strikes, as Gaz and I said, actually, do they even rate things if it's this far back? Not rated. So it's R, because they, as Gaz was saying, with the modern grindhouse directors, they do not cut away from the kill shots. So a guy gets hit in his neck, blood explodes right out of the veins, and he goes down. So there's some removal of hands later on when he gets jumped in the final fight. Definitely this director doubled down on the violence. We'll get into the Mifune monologue, which I think was the dialogue you're referring to there, Gaz. It's kind of like, if you watch the trailer, it's essentially the tagline that Gaz described. Although, you know what, I'll say, I think they could have doubled down on that possession theme a lot more, Gaz. As we'll talk about it at the end, there was talk of sequels, or even saw a YouTube video that said it was like originally supposed to be a trilogy, and I guess that never manifested. But I would have liked to have seen the relic theme explored more, and that possession theme explored more, because they allude to it, but you never actually see, like, is he an actual slave to the sword, or is he just demented? And again, it's like Blade Runner. It has the cut-off ending. There's a lot left to interpretation, which is why if you guys like Kurosawa and the samurai genre, I would definitely recommend Sword of Doom to you, because you'll probably walk away with your own interpretation of what the film was about. And really, that's the best films, at least the ones we deconstruct here on PXR.
Yeah. That's what I think is interesting, and I wanted to see more of that theme explored. So,
Same.
is he enslaved to the sword? Is the demon saying the sword that's saying, right, I need you to unalive more people to feed me more? It actually got me so curious about this subject. I did look up similar movies or novels with this theme, and I remember it was an interview we did a long time ago on the old audio show with a band, and a guy was talking about a novel called Stormbringer, written by Michael Moorcock, about a kind of like Conan the Barbarian warrior who is in service to his sword. It's a demon sword. It's dominating him. It wants to be fed all the time. And I thought, man, that's pretty. So that could have been done a lot further with this. And there's the guy who played Ryanoki, the guy who obviously starts to lose his sanity. There is a great line throughout the movie where I think it says like, evil mind, evil man. So then the sword itself becomes evil because there is that spiritual link with the samurai as well, with the katana. So yeah,
evil mind, evil sword.
Yeah.
I think that's what Mifune says to him.
Yeah, great line as well. Yeah.
I was very confused in that Mifune scene when he got like stage fright, because you've seen this guy slice through the entire movie. But when he saw Mifune fight Shimada in the film, he was just like, and I was wondering what was going on there until I read the synopsis that was like, that was the one time he questioned his confidence, like, okay, that guy's really good, I don't know if I could take that guy, and
I think that's
a very interesting scene,
and that's interesting. That's been done in a lot of, I'll say, combat oriented movies, whether historical, martial arts, sci-fi or fantasy, but where it's based around a warrior, and if that warrior has been the dominant force, never had anyone on his level or above his level, never had that challenge. And that's always been interesting to see, well, now they have, this person's equal to me or even better, so how am I going to get around this? Which is always interesting. Even did that a bit in the Spartacus series that we watched back in the day as well.
Yep. Yeah. Funny you mentioned that, Gaz. I just heard about a new prequel. Spartacus is coming back.
Yeah, that's isn't that House of it's I know which one you're on about. I'm curious to see how they're going to do that.
If you guys want us to cover that, weigh in, because Gaz and I were fanatics. Obviously, I'll be covering Gamora when the prequel drops. But so I have to wonder, Gaz, if it ends the way it does, and we'll cover that. But if they would have explored the demonic possession theme more in 2 and 3. You know what I mean? Because it would have been cool if it like gave it some more context of what direction it's gone in.
I'm going to say this, and you could go even further. We're going to nerd here. It's already getting my mind thinking of that moment with Luke Skywalker where he goes to face the dark side of himself. So that could have happened where they could have used that with the elements, with the weather, having very dark,
100%,
etc. Here's the dark version of yourself. This is what you will become if you keep going down this path. Or are you going to embrace it and become this dark warrior? So that would be very interesting to have seen.
And if it is demonic possession, then the elements no longer matter, right? Like when he takes on the evil attacks, he could go attack in the rain, attack in the snow. He could only attack because the weather's not going to matter, right? If he's powered by pure evil.
True. If it's
a cool way to harness the element, and just make it so like he's fighting through those elements, but it's not affecting his fight style. That'd be sick. Anyway, Gaz and I, we like to speculate on how these 1960s.
Can't tell we didn't enjoy the film much, did we, guys?
I mean, we'll get to the issues as well.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely pacing. It's a 2-hour film, guys. So if 2-hour black and white is not for you, as far as what Gaz said, you were referring to when Luke was in the shadows and he had half of his face and he was talking to. So like, you could say there's Star Wars. You could say there's Return of the Jedi in this. You could say that there is Apocalypse Now in this, from that final scene with the shadows. Like I could see Coppola taking that shadow work from Kurosawa and these other Japanese directors. Of course, The Shining, as I said, with him just like sitting around the house and the the prolonged dialogue, the references to the paranormal guys. We haven't mentioned that yet. So that will come up later. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting themes crammed into this 2-hour movie that, you know, some of them aren't fully fleshed out, as we said. But go ahead, guys.
Apparently it was based on a novel called Dai Wasasatsu Toji, which was a serial novel by Kaizan Nakatsato.
Yep.
And there was a few films made of it, and this was planned to be, I think, the first of a trilogy. So it's got me curious with you saying that, Ross, to actually go and read the original source material to see if that theme is explored in there, if it was just left out, maybe.
Yeah, you do that. Maybe we'll bring it up on another show, or we can do post game on Mosh Shinobi. But between that and I want to look up that video that dude was talking about, the trilogy on YouTube, and maybe I wonder if it was funding, because they don't have any. Okay, they do have some production notes, release. Yeah, we'll get into what it says on here. It doesn't really have any really notes of. But one thing I did see from this director, guys, is Zato Ichi, the blind swordsman, meets Yokimbo.
So we've got to do that.
This guy did direct that, where Zato Ichi and Yokimbo. I mean, we've got to do that since Gaz and I Hero and Yokimbo.
Oh, we have to. I noticed that straight away. That's why I sent you that link. I was like, dude, we've got to do it.
Maybe that's like a lost Yokimbo semi-sequel, which is basically what me and Gaz were talking about after Sanjuro. Like, we both felt like he needed one more. So maybe we'll feel the same. But, you know, this is a very different theme, and I can see why this is not a Kurosawa film. Even in the Sanjuro trilogy, Sanjuro and Yokimbo, he plays like an edgy kind of Ronin, because he's not like overly spiritual, and he's not like overly respectful, you know what I mean? But Yokimbo still, even if he's like swearing at people, yelling at them or whatever, like I'll kill you, he's still like getting at doing the right thing. Whereas you don't see this with this character, you know what I mean? Rinosuke Tsuki, when it first showed him, we're going to discuss his first appearance in the show, and you can, you know, again, it's open to interpretation. Is he following the sword's fate, or is he following his own, or is he just feeding into it, as Gaz said? I wasn't sure this was going to be the lead when he kills this old man Pilgrim, because I'm like, okay, that's obviously the villain, right? Like, they're not going to, you know what I mean? And then the way it kind of follows these other characters, it's kind of interesting, because you have the Shogunate and these other factions. None of them are really good guys. You know, they're all kind of bad guys, which is explored in Yokimbo and other stuff. But this main lead, he's definitely not a good guy, because he's killed a bunch of innocent people. So I could see why, like, Kurosawa probably wouldn't direct a movie like that. That you know. Yeah,
not at all. He is the worst of the worst. His character isn't good. He is about himself. He doesn't respect anyone beneath him, especially lower classes. This is why, as Ross was alluding to, various genres within this film. There's even the crime element in there for what happens 100%. In the start of the film, and then how they're trying to, some of the characters search for the person responsible for that as well.
As Gaz said, psychological thriller. It struck me as like Memento, Gaz. Like, I just felt like this was a Japanese Memento, the way it was like following one character, and it's like, what's reality, what isn't reality. Of course, he's got the voices in his head and the hallucinations. So that gave me like Memento. This reminds me of an early Arafonsky influence, and of course, Arafonsky is the director of Requiem for a Dream, Pi, The Fountain, Black Swan, The Wrestler. You know, he's got a lot more newer films lately, but his early stuff was very psychological heavy, as Gaz said. So I'm watching this, and like I was really thinking of like you know, Requiem vibes and Pi. You know what I mean? And I'm just like wondering like how much influence, you know, I would like to see like what other films did this kind of plotline influence, because it really reminded me of Memento, which is early Christopher Nolan and Arafonsky.
Yeah. What up, Mike? Welcome in, man. It's interesting to see this other take on what to Japan at that time would have been familiar cinema. So this is good to see this different take on that, using these different genres. The acting as well, I feel the acting is really good in this film. And again, I feel it's quite timeless as well, considering it was quite some while ago. The acting, the sequences, it all holds up. Very well shot, very well put together. Yeah, we have some issues with the pacing and some of the, I guess, over-expansive dialogue that we'll get into, but this is no doubt a solid film, and it makes me wonder if the director wanted to pack as much in as he could from the source material. Maybe, for all we know, I don't know. I didn't see anything on my research that he was unsure if they were going to get a sequel or not. It was planned, but nothing happened. So that
that's why I was wondering if they would show us numbers, like how did it do? Did it, because like with the Kurosawas, with Yokimbo, you can obviously see like it blew the box office, it blew the roof off.
Was it and just got a US release as well?
Yeah, like he had it ready to go, and then maybe it didn't do well. So I mean, we know that happens.
Or possibly, Ross, they maybe thought because there's no real good guys in the movie. And this is kind of an issue Warhammer 40k would have with a big screen presence, because there's no real good guys in that film. And maybe they thought we'd need someone somewhat good so the audience could kind of get behind.
Warhammer is coming. I mean, and that's the type of thing you could fix with a sequel, right? Because you did introduce Mifune in this one. He's obviously a Japanese cinema legend. Maybe does he come back in the second one and try to stop Ryonosuke's killing spree or another dude, which is funny because this is what me and Gaz always said about Sanjuro. He never really had an equal or a closer level opponent to his skill. That's a problem that could have been fixed in Sword of Doom 2. You know what I mean? But man, there was as you were saying that, there was something I was thinking of, but it slipped my mind. Maybe it'll come back to me. So we'll go into the plot. So the story follows the life of Ryonosuke Tsuki, an immoral samurai and master swordsman with an unorthodox style. And I was gonna say his unorthodox style, guys. It gave me like Drunken Master vibes from.
Yes, definitely.
It's like you would have added a sword to Chan's drunken boxing style, because he kind of stumbles and throws these behind the back strikes and just like weird one hand strikes. Very unorthodox.
And I read somewhere a scene which we'll come to later where it really does emphasize that. Apparently, that's to like show how his mind is, kind of how he's seeing either could be demons around him or past victims, and that's why he's just wildly lashing out. And you would think, like with Drunken Master at first, when someone is using that style, right, this is going to be clumsy, this isn't going to be accurate, it's not going to land anything. And it's an interesting depiction from that kind of clumsy, arm falling over everywhere. Then there's like this clean finish on the end of it, and then back to
that's why you can't hit them, because you don't know which way they're going to go, and then they lean in and pop you when you're struggling. Ryonosuke's first scene, when he killed an elderly Buddhist pilgrim whom he finds praying for death, he appears to have no feeling. Later, he kills an opponent in self-defense in a fencing competition that was intended to be non-lethal, but became a duel after he coerced his opponent's wife to have sex with him in exchange for throwing the match and allowing her husband to win. Oh, this is what I was going to say. As Gaz saying that the themes still hold up. So the themes are like jealousy, betrayal, like it's some manipulation, as Gaz said. It's somewhere between a Greek tragedy and a more modern style, Nolan, Arafonsky film. You know what I mean? So, and I think those are timeless motifs and tropes and archetypes. You know what I mean? As Gaz said, everything holds up.
And like a father leaving his wife and child behind as well. Even that theme's in there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of breaking up families and divorce and stuff like that, which is like interesting. And I think, as Gaz and I said, neither of us were super impressed with the extremely long dialogue sequences, but also I think what they hammering home was like a drama period piece, like this is how life was back then in feudal Japan. So I think those conversations were supposed to emulate, like, these are the type of things that the samurais and the geishas, go back and forth with. I don't know about making Gaz was talking about the performance of the actors and the actresses. I don't know about making Omatsu essentially the main character, which is essentially what she was when you have like 3 or 4 samurai leads. But her performance was actually really good. as well as I think who's the other lady? Ohama. So Ohama, Omatsu, they almost have like a majority of the dialogue, which does get to be grating at times. But again, they did have really good performances.
I think what you're saying, though, they're going for, as well, period authenticity. So if we look at it in terms of, I guess, like English, that kind of 18th to 19th century Old English way of talking. And I mean, yes, then you could go back further to Shakespearean, where it was very, very long, very chunky, I guess, over explaining, I suppose, is not the easiest on the ear, I guess. But that's probably why, as you said.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw that with Kurosawa. Yeah. It's just he's a master of pacing and a master of everything. So with his films, it tends to go by quicker before some fighting ensues. His opponent finds out about the affair prior to the match and is shown giving his wife a notice of divorce. His rage at Ryonosuke during the match causes him to take an illegal lunging attack after the judge proclaims a draw. And Ryonosuke, the better swordsman, parries and kills him with one stroke of his bokken. That was like a pretty grimy death, guys. I really didn't see that one coming. I'm like, I knew he was manipulating him, so I'm like, you're going to see something here. But the way, like Gaz said, with the unorthodox strikes, he just kind of flick the bokken. Are you asking why we didn't do Flashpoint? It's a bit of a long story. It's just I kind of held up the schedule because I didn't get to.
It'll be rescheduled, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, I didn't get to screen Sword of Doom, so I pushed Gaz back, unfortunately, or that was supposed to be his week. We'll make it up to him. Yeah, dude, like that close up on his head, Gaz, of that freaking forehead strike, it's like, and he falls in the crowd of all the students watching. I was just like, and nobody really reacted either, so that kind of made it more like dramatic. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
yeah, apart from a couple of glances, and then that silence that stays. And again, this is what I'm saying with this. Considering when this movie was made, it's not kind of arty flowery with the exchanges. It's pretty brutal, and it's literally that's it done. It's quite authentic
and a bit, as Gaz said, a bit realistic because they're not like blood, as Gaz said, blood sport with the triple slow mo bicycle kicks. You know what I mean? It's not like some flowery like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like
Dragon Ball Z.
Like it's just a very quick boom right in his forehead, and then the dude falls on the ground gushing, so as Gaz said, it seems like a more realistically paced strike. And then it hammers home this guy's lethal fighting ability because, that was a bokken. That wasn't even a katana blade. So it's like if he can hit you that hard with the practice fucking sword, it's like, what's he going to do with a blade? And you actually end up kind of seeing that in the last scene. Ryonosuke flees town after killing the man and cuts down many of the dead opponent's clansmen to attack him as he's leaving. His opponent's ex-wife asks him to go along. I believe that's the forest ambush, as you said, guys.
Yeah. That's quite a good scene as well. And again, it's deadly, and that's one thing myself and Ross are stressing with the combat scenes in this film. They are how sword fighting would be. It's seconds done. That's it. There's no we're going to drag this out for 10 minutes, and then it keeps going on and on and on. It's pretty grimy to the point, and it has that impact. And I feel it pairs well with this guy's descent into madness, because I think that's important. It doesn't start the film. Okay, yes, he's not a good guy, but he doesn't start being 100% gone at the movie. This does happen through the film.
Yeah, and that's what gives me the Shining pacing. It's like the more dialogue you have from him, you can see that he's either being kind of taken over, as Gaz said, taking control of him, or he's about to lose his grip, right? His sanity is slipping. And that is probably the best pacing in the movie, despite, there are some quite extended scenes.
It's just dawned on me, Ross, as well. It's even got me thinking of Sergeant Scott's further demise into madness and Universal Soldier OG. The first one, okay.
Yeah,
he's
100%.
really more gone at the start, but it gets worse and worse, and he's questioning his reality around him all the time, and we see that here.
100%. So they bump up the timeline. 2 years pass in order to make a living. Rinosuke joins the Shinsengumi, a sort of semi-official police force made up of Ronin that supports the Tokugawa shogunate through murders and assassinations. Through all his interactions, whether killing a man or at home with his mistress and their baby son, Rinosuke really shows any emotion. And that's really the difference between this performance and a Mifune and a Sanjuro or Yukimbo. Is like Mifune has all those facial tics. He's always giving you a hint at what he's thinking. You know, as me and Gaz said, like when these other characters are telling him this information, you can see him analyzing it. You really can't see that with Ryonosuke because there's no analysis going on in his actions. He doesn't care after he's killed, you know, whoever. It's not really an afterthought to him until the final climax when he kind of.
Oh, it's not. Appears. And I'd be curious as well if and perhaps somebody could tell us if there is a Western equivalent of this character. You know, if there's a film we could look at, because that would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there's something out there as Gaz and I explore the genre. You know, it would be cool on it too, Gaz. A spaghetti Western take on it. You know, a cowboy, like a Gun of Doom. You know, that'd be cool. Like
well, definitely. Well, we've seen it in various games, graphic novels, where there's been a sharpshooter, you know, a gunslinger enslaved to his pistol, so it's demonically possessed, something like that.
Hold on, YouTube. Did you guys just censor that I wrote Toshiro Mifune in the chat? Did you think that was some sort of swear word? Are we not allowed to say the actual name anymore? I just wrote Toshiro Mifune in the chat and said YouTube did not allow your last messages to go through. Please try something different. Okay, let's try it again, YouTube. Or either YouTube...
I'll have to abbreviate to TM.
Either you are racist against Japanese people, your algorithm, YouTube, or you think Toshiro Mifune is some sort of... Let's see. Did they think that meant shite? Okay, now it went through the second time. Shite Mifune. Okay. Anyway, guys, got derailed there. Eventually, Ryonosuke learns that the younger brother of the man he killed in the fencing match is looking for him, intent on revenge. He plans to meet this young man and kill him, but before the duel can take place, two events occur that shake his confidence. In a botched assassination attempt, he sees another master swordsman, Shamada Torananosuke. That's Toshiro Mifune in action. And for the first time, he doubts that his own skills is truly unbeatable. This scene really encompasses a lot of the main themes of the movie, as Gaz said, which the evil mind, evil sword concept. And it's also a snow battle, which is super sick. I'd argue that this is probably the best scene in the movie, Gaz. Agreed. Just a sick snow battle. And one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, the soundtrack, dude. Some of those tracks are booming, Gaz. The score, really good use of music.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, man, a sample that would be sick.
Yeah.
The way this ambush scene is set out, portrayed as you said in the snow, Mifune's dialogue, there really is an interesting exchange, and the look on the guy who realizes he's not going to take our apology and let us get away with this for mistaking him, because it is a tragic case of mistaken identity. But Toshiro Mifune, is not, you're not getting out of this. But that whole scene, Ross, again, I'm stressing this, for its time, very brutal. The guy just takes out more or less a small band of militia who aren't exactly small in numbers, and it's really brutal right down to where there's only one of them remaining.
Hell yeah! I love
low.
Everything about it. Honestly, I think this is probably one of Ryonosuke's better performances, because it's the first time you kind of see him get stage fright, where before he takes out all these civilians like he's taking out the trash, and then this time he's kind of watching Shimada, and he kind of, when he gets that stage fright, Gaz, his face kind of locks up and he's kind of at awe watching the veteran samurai. And Shimada's got the age, he's been in more battles, he's got the experience, so he's less, like, frazzled by by being in the fog of war, you know what I mean? So he doesn't get thrown off his game, which that's kind of what he's showing Rinosuke. Like, dude, if you slip up and your focus gets off in one battle, you're done, you know?
And then what's interesting as well, Ross, so Mifune's character, to show you the difference that he is still guided with a sense of honor. At the end of that fight, there is some dialogue explaining that, where he, spoiler alert here, folks, but he kind of says, right, you've just made me take out an entire group of very good swordsmen. It was unnecessary. Whereas I'm going to try and not butcher his name here. Ryunosuke Tsuke wouldn't care, because we don't see an emotion, just doesn't care. So it's showing you that different contrast, and it's a pity we didn't see anything where they could have met and had that engagement, because that would have been super interesting to see. And also, a point worth stressing, Ross, what I did notice in the movie is the stances. The stances as well for its time are very good. It's in the way they'll throw an overhead strike, a mid blow to the gut.
There's a lot more deconstruction into technique in this film than we saw in other Kurosawas. You don't really ever see Sanjuro or Yokimbo practicing, because he's at the level of being a Ronin for 10 years, 20 years, so he's got the skill set baked in. But when you see the dojo sequence, you see them practicing the do attack. You know, Ryunosuke was asking the other guy about his best technique. So there's more deconstruction and extrapolation of the do attack and some of these other techniques, as Gaz said, and that involves footwork, sword strike, just ability and, muscle memory, if you want to call it that. So I thought that played really well, because it's not just like dumb samurais or meatheads with a sword. There's actually a fighting style behind what they're doing, and you get to see some of those matches.
And that scene as well that we are just talking about, that battle in the snow, Ryunosuke, he's even slightly drawing his sword just a little bit from the guard, thinking, right, am I going to have to now try and deal with Mifune? But the way they show it, they really do emphasize the style, the technique that they used in unsheathing the blades. And I thought that was really good.
100%. Yeah, no, that's and again, as we said, that's unfinished business. I would like to see that scene get resolved. Probably too late to do a sequel now, but if somebody has the powers of AI out there, if you could recreate these two characters from the original footage, maybe we can resolve that in a little fight.
Instead of a silly AI band.
Sword of Doom 1.5 for the online version. It's truly unbeatable. That same night, Ryunosuke's mistress, horrified by his unremitting evil, tries to kill him in his sleep. This is when it kind of starts to turn up. He kills her in the gardens, the ominous cries of their sleeping child inside the house, and flees without keeping his appointment to duel with his pursuer. Later, he rejoins the gang of assassins at a Oiran house, a Cortesian brothel in the Shimabara district of Kyoto. I know they kept talking about Kyoto. There, in a quiet and he is told haunted room, he starts seeing the ghosts of all the people he has killed. Further, he is haunted by the words of Shimada. The sword is the soul. Study the soul and know the sword. Evil mind, evil sword. And it's so interesting that they use Shimada's dialogue as like the tagline of the film, because his scene is only 15 or 20 minutes long, right, guys? Like he's a bit of a secret character. He's far from the main lead or anything. Yet they let Mifune's scene take center stage and be one of the best fight scenes in the movie, as well as the dialogue, the monologue it gives him, which really encapsulates the mythos or theme of the film.
Yeah, and it's really a shame that we didn't see another film to follow on from this, because I feel it kind of sets up the deeper side, as we've been saying, a deeper psychological side to Ryunosuke, the madness, the themes of possession, seeing the victims around him haunt him, which is why he's got that kind of drunken, unorthodox style, as we come into that scene in a moment. A guy that's not quite in our reality, he's in another, as he's seen things, you could have even gone on further, and I don't know if this is in the source material. I'll have to read it, folks. Just the guy somehow gets some redemption at the end of all this as well. Does he come back to sanity somehow? So very, very interesting.
What up, Jeff? Yeah, no, for sure.
Welcome, Jeff.
One thing I was thinking, Gaz, you know, like the old concept, they say that like the katana blades like collect the souls of their victims. It would have been cool to get like a history of the sword, like almost how in the beginning of Evil Dead they have that like montage of like the history of the book. You know, like it has all those like incantations, you know, bound in human flesh, written in blood. It would be cool to see if like his blade, his sword, is it possessed by a soul of an already evil samurai that was doing what he's doing before him? And you know what I mean? Then that would almost like a Rashomon type of sequence where, you know, he could have been seeing the ghost of the original owner of the blade telling him, you know, kind of almost like freaking Summer of Sand when Berkowitz is talking to the dog and it's giving him orders. He's taking orders from the evil samurai before, you know, from an era before him. You know, 100. How old is the sword? 100 years old.
Well, you could even go further with it. You could go from the creation of the sword. 100%. So the sword maker who made it, what his desire would have been for that sword. Obviously, you know, I've just made a sword. It's for service. You do what you want with it. The first owner, how it's gone through various generations in a clan, in a family, passed on. Did someone corrupt that sword, and then that's got that evil in it? And now anyone who touches that blade, and I know I'm touching on here the cursed blade myth. Definitely. Yeah, man, everything.
That would have been cool. And you'd have to think the sequel would have had to have gone that way. Yeah. We don't know without speaking to the director. So when she says like, "Hey, I saw the ghost of the woman," my first interpretation, like I wasn't sure because she pretends to see it twice. I'm like, is she just pretending to see the spirits?
I thought that, yeah.
And again, they kind of left it unclear because regardless of what she said, didn't matter. He starts seeing the ghosts of his victims, unless what she said triggered that, which they didn't really specify.
It's interesting because it can be open to interpretation again. Did she see it, or is she aware that, as she said, yeah, he's clearly mad, so I'm going to pretend I've saw something because I can easily manipulate him, into seeing something, and then he sees it. So yeah, could be that.
Kingdom of Heaven is not my favorite Ridley Scott film, Red Cloud. You know, if Gaz says, I guess there is some sort of unedited version. I just felt like the pacing in Kingdom of Heaven was way off. I totally love the source material. I'm big into the Crusades, as is Gaz. We're both very into that medieval era. But thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you, my brother. Let me know what you want for shout out.
There are some very underrated medieval night movies out there. I think it was possibly Ivanhoe. I know there's an old school one, but I think they did remake it and it's not too bad. And there was another one recently, which I think was set in Eastern Europe, and that wasn't bad. I know it's on Netflix and I haven't seen it for a while, but maybe we could look at them as well. But yeah, Kingdom of Heaven, I'm with Ross. Soundtrack's not bad. Source material, definitely. It's not bad. It's not bad. You know, if enough of you want us to do it, we could do it. You know. Yeah,
there's a couple interesting things in there. I mean, I'm just keeping it real with you, Red. I wouldn't rate it very high. I'd be like a 5 or a 6. I remember when I originally watched it. I never watched it again. I think there is some kind of Gladiator. I mean, neither of us were very big fans of refer to it as Gladiator poo. On PXF, so that should tell you our thoughts on that. We did do Gladiator 1. As Gaz said, there's probably Gaz knows the medieval genre a little bit better than myself, although I do watch it. So I there's probably medieval films we could do, as we said. Now, if you want other Ridley Scott movies, there's probably quite a few other Ridley Scotts we could do. We did do Gladiator 1. Black Hawk Down, I would argue, is a PXF classic.
It's an awesome movie.
Quite a few early Ridley Scotts we could do. His later stuff, like Gladiator 2, I haven't been too hot on Ridley's later stuff. And Alien Prometheus, although it wasn't Scott, was not good. They're already, not Prometheus, Romulus, but they're already talking about Romulus poo, Gaz. I'm in no hurry to rush to that.
You've got Aliens Earth soon as well.
Yeah, right.
Or Alien Earth, whatever it's called.
So evil mind, evil sword, as we said, Shimada, a.k.a. Mifune, tells him the final blow comes when he realizes that the apprentice Oiran sent to entertain him is the granddaughter of the pilgrim he murdered at the film's beginning. It's a good callback there, full circle. With this realization, Ryonosuke appears to descend in complete insanity, as Gaz was saying. And this is like, I have to wonder if Stephen King didn't watch that and use some influence for The Shining, Gaz, because it seems so close. But again, I mean, these are not like you can't come up with these concepts without seeing the movie before.
Yeah.
He starts slashing at the shadows of the ghosts that surround him and then begins attacking his fellow assassins who seem to number in the hundreds. Ryonosuke kills dozens of gang members in the burning courtesan house. And as we said, with the elements, Gaz, amazing use of fire. I thought that fire set, it looked absolutely nuts. Burning courtesan house as they gradually wear him down with what few wounds they can inflict. Finally, it appears that Ryonosuke will surely be killed, bleeding, his face contorted in rage. He lurches forward, raises his sword one last time, and we'll extrapolate this fight a little bit. So I'm sure you had some parts in this that you're looking at. So I mean, I'm not the hugest Final Destination fan, Red, but I mean, where it is Tony Todd's last movie, I would consider it. I'd consider it. You see Bloodlines, guys, or you didn't make it that one yet?
Not really a fan of those movies. The first two were okay, I guess, but it's nothing that was really on my radar to go see. Again, there's not enough demand for it, then yeah, we could look at it. But getting back to this last scene that we're on now, I did like the way it showed you Ryonosuke going from one area of the building to another, wide open spaces to confined spaces. Mm-hmm. The fights were up close, personal, brutal. Mm-hmm. Right, I've dispatched this one on to the next. And he's not like OP in it either throughout this. He does get hit a few times. Yeah. There's a particular scene where he slows down and it has you wondering, right, is this it? Is this the guy's final moment now? And even the one of the other assassins coming towards him thinks that, and then you realize, no, it's not, and it goes on again, and then it slows down a bit. Again, it's like they're just saying that themes of possession, drunken master, mixed with a samurai movie, all into one, and his face as well when it ends, it's just like kind of it's just like frozen in madness, isn't it? Yeah,
I love when movies end on a freeze frame. I know, like Texas Chainsaw did that back in the day. I mean, it's tons of movies have done that, but it does seem like you see it a little bit more in horror. I'm a sucker for these claustrophobic fight scenes. The hallways, Gaz. That first of all, that was a lot like the hallway fight we discussed in Striking Rescue. Yeah, I think you shouted out Cat People last time, Red. No, keep the recos coming though, man. We'll definitely grab something from you. The Striking Rescue hallway fight scene, the Raid hallway fight scenes with the machetes, even those Havoc hallway fight scenes. Like when we were watching, I was seeing it. I'm like, dude, this is like the choreography, so much like the
roots of it, isn't it?
We reviewed, and again, I mean, I know that in combat MMA martial arts movies, like Gaz said, the hallway fight scene is a bit of a trope, right? It's a bit of a motif or archetype, but I just love the use of the building, as Gaz said, from the fire to the flames is kind of, you could say the symbolism there, burning down the building, him losing his grip on sanity, like the building deconstructing, and then also his mind, collapsing as well.
What's good, Ross, is it emphasizes the danger. If you were in that situation back in that time, in that very moment, you would have to fight to try and stand any chance of making it out of there. And then you've got the kind of other take on it. Those assassins around him, right? This guy's completely insane. He's just going to non-stop unaliving everybody in sight. And it's very well shown.
It looks like I have Renegade on my list. Is that the Western with Mike Madsen? Rest in peace to Mike Madsen, by the way.
Yeah.
I have it on my list if that's the Renegade you're referring to. It looks like there's a few of them. Man, just the fight choreography, guys, was so good. That one point where the dude does that straight dive. He does that dive towards his feet and he slices him in the kind of shin. That leg attack, that was just it almost gives you vibes, because I know it's coming up in 2 weeks. of when Bruce Lee fights his way out of the fortress and Enter the Dragon, and you got dudes kind of jumping at him one by one from different angles. Like you can almost see an early choreography of that here in the Sword of Doom.
And there's a scene where where he's in the larger part of the building before it moves to the corridor and he's surrounded. There's a guy on the film to his right, I believe, and it actually shows you from the camera his stance adjusting to attack, and not just right, I'm going to swing and hope for the best. He actually actively changes his stance to accommodate the technique that's coming, and just little things like that. Maybe a lot of other people wouldn't notice that, but it really did make it have more of an impact. That this isn't your average rent-a-merc. This is another capable swordsman.
Honestly, I want to say this, what we said about Kurosawa. This director is way before his time because he uses excellent job of the close-ups, of the fight scene close-ups, close-ups on the blades of the sword strikes, close-ups on the fists of when they're in the combat scenes. Whereas, as we said, Kurosawa is much more facial close-ups of people's reaction to dialogue. This guy really used the close-ups in the combat close-ups. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of an evolution of the filming style of a combat scene. And again, I see that in John Wick. You know what I mean? I see this 66 years before, 1966 years before John Wick, and you can see the close-ups and as Gaz said, the grips, and that just you could see it in there.
Fights in the confined spaces as well. Throughout those movies, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean, Chad Stileski is obviously an action, virtuoso, but I have to say that Chad must have Kurosawa and Japanese cinema in his repertoire. Obviously, you see it a lot more in the later John Wicks. John Wick 4 with the Japanese, locations, as Gaz had said, kind of brings it full circle. But I mean, it's really amazing because you watch something from 1966, and I'm like, I see modern action blueprints in here. You know what I mean? It's like, and again, everybody might not pick that up if they don't watch the same.
Yeah, but you could even make that comparison with some of the Western movies we've been looking at, where they're in an open space, but they're surrounded, and you've got the different angles of, say, Clint or whoever has to take out the opposing gang or people in that town. One's high, one's low, one's at mid, one's behind some cover here. So all of that is even shown there, and that's definitely been an influence on the modern day action movies for sure. And then we see this in the samurai movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I was saying, Kurosawa is more known for the facial close-ups of what do you call that? Expression reactions. Whereas this guy, and then you see that with Sergio Leone, as Gaz said in the spaghetti westerns. Sergio Leone brings it back with when the what do they call those? The showdowns. When you know what I mean. The dudes are sizing each other up, getting their hand ready for the quick draw, and then you'll see the close up on their eyes to see is he watching his hand. But I don't know. I think this dude's use of just camera work was super impressive. Again, for 1966, super impressive and far beyond a lot of the PG-13 Hollywood CGI crap that you get at this point, because you're also talking about physical sets, physical everything, practical effects. I mean, there's no real film tech besides what they're using in 66. So it's all you got to build it and do it and have the actors perform it on set. So as Gaz said, finally it appears that Ryunosuke will surely be killed. Bleeding, his face contorted in rage, he lurches forward, raises his sword one last time, and the film ends with a freeze frame catching Ryunosuke in mid-sword slash. So the only thing, the ending is sick. Okay, freeze frame ending, nothing resolved. The only thing I will say, though, guys, is when Ryonu, and I think that was Omatsu, having that last conversation, dragging out the pacing with the dialogue. You're like, okay, damn, they've been having this conversation for 15, borderline 20 minutes, and now there's only 10 minutes left in the film. So you're really wondering, okay, is this going to end in a final fight, which you assume that it is, but you're like, damn, okay, so it's just going to be crammed into that last sequence. So that's the only thing that threw me off. Just the pacing was a bit slow before it popped off into that final
same. It is a good film. It's the pacing. I'll say it like this. Go on, I'll go gutter. I'm already thinking in my head of alternative ways to say this, Ross, because I mentioned this to you early in a different way. this is a good film, folks, as you'll hear from our ratings. Thank you, Jeff. The only problem is the pacing does slow it down sometimes, make it a little overly long. Like they could have reduced it by 30 to 40 minutes. So that pacing issue, as Ross described, does make your basketballs feel like they're being dragged along sandpaper, and that's as polite as I can say in those instances.
I can't even say Toshiro Mifune's name in the chat anymore. So.
Yeah.
We're pretty soon. So our next one, like, okay, so Badlands
After
starring
my
Martin. We're gonna have to bleep out every actor's name, so you can't even say it. Shout out to Jeff. So yeah, like that was my whole problem. Was I was like, damn, I want him to get to this final fight. You know, he kind of turns on his own shogunate mercenary army. And it did get crammed into, the Bill and Ted's are hilarious, bro. I don't know. Have you seen Stigmata?
Last one. I've only once. Classic Arch Enemy album as well, Red. I think that's Stigmata, or is that a track that's on the Black Earth album, possibly? Anyway.
I would do End of Days for you, Red Cloud. I was super obsessed with End of Days when it came out. I know people say that like it's like not the best Arnold because it's his first horror, but I still think End of Days is sick compared to what's out now, guys. I would watch End of Days.
Dude, it's an interesting concept. A mortal man has to pretty much go up against primeval. I mean, think about it.
It could have been better, but like overall,
Real Burn was awesome. I thought
notes. It hit the horror notes. It hit the action notes. Good hero, good villain. I mean, it's not like I remember when I walked out of the theater, I was like, I need to go watch that again because I was so obsessed with that 1999 Y2K concept. You know what I mean? I thought that movie like nailed the turn of the century in a turn of the century in a way that nothing ever did. So yeah, I mean, really only problems, guys, pacing. That final fight pops off. It is literally crammed into the last 10 minutes of the movie. Ends on a freeze frame. Essentially, nothing is resolved. You assume that Ryonosuke doesn't survive that fight unless somebody shows up to save him. And why would that happen? Because he's been far from a hero. Definitely an interesting story. And I've had I thought that it would be much more doubled down on the demonic possession of the evil sword, like Gaz said. Really, it's kind of open to interpretation. I thought this would be a lot more like Throne of Blood, the Kurosawa film, Gaz, but really completely different than Throne of Blood. The only real similarity between this and the Kurosawas is like the Toshiro Mifune cameo. Everything else is pretty original. It doesn't really try to recreate Yokimbo or Sanjuro, which I think is good. You obviously can't recreate those. So yeah, I love 300. I'd be that's a PXF classic. I'd be down for 300. I don't even mind the prequel. I actually
like that better.
I like them both.
Yeah.
So we could do 300 if you guys want us to do the 300 prequel as well. Some good naval sequences in that one. I think without further ado, guys, we're going on 60, so we could get our ratings ready.
Yeah.
It's pretty high on IMDb. Let me just pull it back up. The Sword of Doom. It's pretty high on IMDb. It's got a 7.9 out of 10. Only about
that's quite fair, that.
13,000 reviews, so not that many. For once, it was there for a second, but then it blurred again. How close we get? Boom. I gave it a 7 out of 10, folks. I was probably at a 6 with pacing, but the action's really good. And of course, I just messed up my focus. So, guys, you take it away.
Yeah, I'm the same. Pacing and some of the over-expansive dialogue, 6, but overall 7. The fact they show the stances, sword technique, the combat sequences for back then, which were very, very grimy, still stand up, really good. The psychological aspect, utilizing all those other genres, Ross, in the film. It's not just an out-and-out samurai film, really ahead of its time. The acting, I feel, is good as well. So overall, yeah, I'm at a 7. This is worth watching, even for those that, maybe are from the true crime side of the channel here. There is some of that in there for you, so you may appreciate it. Overall, absolutely. Quite a solid film.
Yeah,
good score as well.
Amazing music, amazing score, excellent. Man, I think I've seen Hellboy 1 and 2. I like the Pearlman renditions. Gaz saw that last one, The Crooked Wanker, and he said that was absolutely fun. So we won't probably rush to that one. But I do rock with Hellboy, though. He's a fresh character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm at total 7 for combat. Highlight the final fight and the Toshiro Mifune fight, Shimada. Amazing music, amazing use of camera angles, camera work, elements, rain, snow, fire. Main character has a really good performance as well, Ryonosuke. Interesting concepts. Definitely interested. We'll do a little bit of production for you guys before we go out and try to figure out what happened. But yeah, I guess the sequel was planned, but never made. So overall, a 7. Pacing wise, 6. Like we definitely could lose 30 or 40 minutes to some of those long dialogues. Again, we don't know what the reception in Japanese cinema is, right? They might give it a 10 over there because I'm from US and Gaz is from UK. So if they're like, well, hey, that's exactly how feudal Japan was and it's extremely authentic dialogue and wardrobe and costume and dress and all that stuff, they probably rate it higher than we would because they know their own culture better than we do. You know what I mean? So, but I know people who say that like this is one of the best samurai films. It's up there. Probably won't rush back to it anytime soon because it's 2 hours long. And just that pacing, but to keep it more action epic and combat focused, I would have liked to have cut some of the dialogue. That's pretty much my only criticism.
The same. It's minor.
Even that minor dude who takes over the water pump windmill house, Gazzy tells that whole story about how he took that over for that dude to keep it running. Like he was like a side character. Like he was cool and interesting. So yeah, definitely some uncomfortable scenes with this character forcing himself on some women, but I guess they were just trying to get like the
he that's emphasized throughout the film that he's not a good character at all. He isn't a fan of anyone. I mean, there's even I think is it when he escapes his clan and the clan leader on his deathbed is try not to give too many spoilers away, but it's just
that was a cool scene. That was
that was really well acted. He was pretty much saying, right, go and take this guy out because he's a danger to everyone. So they really do drive that home that this is a bad character.
Yep, hell yeah. No, even like the veteran Shogun was sick. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff, guys. Like even people who are far from the main characters. No, Gladiator 2 is.
I'll say it now.
I mean, I wanted it to be good, and I'm sorry it just wasn't. I mean, you guys know I love Ridley Scott.
First 10 minutes is okay. That scene is pretty cool. Then after that, if you like space monkeys and really bad theatre and kind of Jaws in the Colosseum-esque, then it will be for you. And that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's a very niche market if you can line up all those things to be interested in. I would love to see Jaws in a Roman amphitheater.
Well, we've got the anniversary coming up at Jaws. You can either watch that or go and watch this.
Oh, we should, 50 years. I was going to say we should do Jaws 1. I'm pretty sure Lauren Lepre is a Jaws fanatic, so it'd be cool to do. And I know our boy Slippy requested trying to get some Jaws actors on. I'll see what I can do, guys. I haven't done an actor interview in a while. So without further ado, we'll just go to production. We'll see if we can bang it out real quick for you guys. The Sword of Doom is an adaptation of Daibo Satu Toge, as Gaz said, The Great Bodhisattva Pass, a novel that has remained popular since its initial release in 1913. A year after the death of Emperor Meiji, the ruler who oversaw Japan's transition from hermetically sealed feudal state to modern nation. The novel originated from a newspaper serial, which appeared for 3 more decades. 41 volumes were published before it was left uncompleted in 1944 at the death of its author, Kaizan Nakazato. The film has previously been adapted into a 2-part film by Hiroshi Inagaki in 1935. After World War II, it was remade multiple times in 3 parts by Kunio Watanabe in 1953, in 3 parts by Tomu Uchida between 1957 and 1959, and 3 parts by Kenji Musumi and Kazuo Mori in 1960 and 1961. According to Jeffrey O'Brien, The Sword of Doom was an adaptation imposed on by Kaihachi Okamoto by Toho after the studio was dissatisfied with his film, The Age of Assassins. That sounds pretty cool, guys.
Interesting,
which was completed in 1966, but only released in 1967, with gaps and unresolved storylines due to skipping some material. O'Brien noted that Okamoto's film might instead be called Famous Scenes from Daibatsatu Toge. He also suggested the film's final freeze frame should be looked at as a pause while awaiting later installments that were never made rather than an ending. That's almost fun. That's always fun when they're like, hey, stop right there. tune in next time for part 2. Oh, by the way, we're not making it. Release: Sword of Doom was distributed by Toho and was released February 25, 66. Film was released with English subtitles in the States by Toho International on February 25th, 66. A proposed sequel was never produced. Reception: in contemporary review, Robe of Variety found the film to have an overlong unfolding story that rarely stops for a rest, and ultimately declared the film a programmer. I guess that's a term they used back then. I guess that means like referring to it as a TV film. I don't know. I don't know what he means by a programmer.
Yeah, the same. I mean, it's my mind automatically kind of thinks like Manchurian Candidate, but I don't think he's meaning that.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I could understand that type of genre. Not like possession with non-control.
Yeah.
But, it's a sick film, guys. Go check it out if you like. Of course, you can check out our other reviews of Yokimbo Sanjuro. We recently did for a few dollars more and a fistful of dollars. We want to try to round out Good, Bad, and the Ugly by the end of the year. Maybe we'll try to get Zatoichi versus Yokimbo, or whatever it's called, Zatoichi Yokimbo down the line. But keep the. I'm going to Jerry Cantrell on the 16th. Red Cloud. I think he had Filter on as the opening act, but I guess the Filter dude had a health problem, Gaz. So I think he had to back out of the tour.
Oh man, yeah,
that's happened a lot. That happened with Alice in Chains last tour too, which sucks. The drummer had a health issue. Always sucks when that happens.
Yeah, it does. Filter Grunge classic for you there, man.
Get well to those guys. But so I guess I'm going to be seeing Jerry with no opener. That's the music update. BKFC tonight. Gaz and I will probably be watching.
Someone's such a deadly dun 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 dun. Deadly pro, yeah.
It's on my Patreon. I have the review over on my Patreon. And there's also Deadliest Prey, the epic sequel that nobody ever requested 28 years later after the legendary first.
I've got to say this to Tim because it's equally as ridiculous. Have you seen the Samurai Cop movies? They are completely ridiculous, hilariously entertaining, just as bad. There's 2 of them.
I want to see that. Trauma?
No, I don't think so.
They do Sergeant Kabuki, man.
Yes, yeah, but those would be with Samurai Cop. Let's see who did it real quick. Dude, they're as ridiculous as Deadliest Prey, and as bad as
Deadly Prey is bad.
I'm going to start going on about all those comedy scenes there, but the soundtrack, every time someone mentions Deadly Prey, I just hear it in my head all the time. Dun, 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 dun. Because it's literally in every scene.
He's like, he has like a tidy whitey loincloth for like 60% of the movie, and then he's just a shirtless meathead in the jungle. Like, and by the way, the guys he's fighting have like M16s, and like he doesn't get shot once for like two. He's like fighting hand to hand. He doesn't get shot for like 2 hours.
Apparently, Samurai Cop was done by. It says distributed by Demel International Corporation, Cinema Epoch, Hollywood Royal Pictures. So yeah, but absolutely hilarious. Definitely worth peeping.
But anyway, I'll post the schedule. I'll put when I post this in the post section. I'll post the schedule. So, Bad Zodiac goes to the movie series Badlands next week. We're finally starting it. We have a few more.
That'll be cool.
Try to get Enter the Dragon done. I got Jerry Cantrell that night. Blade the 23rd, and if Gaz and I are both able to screen it, Toxic Avenger the remake. So we've already seen our Toxic Avenger 1. Go watch that, and then when the time comes, I'll drop the September schedule. So that will take us into Zodtober when we'll start doing horrors again for you guys. But I'll be watching Deadliest Prey soon, Tim, and I'll do the update on my Patreon and let you know how buns it is. But the standard was set very low with Deadly Prey 1, so it's going to be hard to even get in that.
If they can I was going to say if they can recreate the soundtrack, but they could just use it again. So then literally every 2 minutes you've got the dun dun dun.
I'm sure they did. I mean, also, bro, that dude was like, what, in his 20s in the first movie? And like they made the second one like 30 years later. Is he like 60 or 70 in this one?
That's what's funny about Samurai Cop, man. It's exactly kind of not the same format, but it's like a lot of the same actors in the sequel, and just the same original guy as well. It's absolutely hilarious cheese.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's wild cheese there. So yeah, guys, I think that'll about do it. Probably have a couple more coming up on the Patreon, which would be Deadliest Prey and Avenging Force. And if comes out to me Zodiac wise, I might do a bump up on there. Editing episode 5 coming ASAP. He was touring with Filter Red Cloud, but the Filter dude had a health problem, so I think Filter dropped off the tour. Again, if it's a health issue, they probably are not going to return to the tour. But yeah, guys, we laid out the list for you. Like I said, episode 5 main series coming soon. If you want to get your donations in, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Super Chat or whatever through the YouTube, or just shoot me an email if you want credit or what at handle or at name to credit in the credits under supporters. Of course, the comic book is out on YouTube, The Dark Rift Volume 1. And probably not much else. I am currently reading these. So as soon as I have already finished this one, Michael Cole Zodiac Revisited. So as soon as I have Volume 2 done, I'll get on to Volume 3, and then we'll have Cole on for the interview series. So that's nice. That's the next interview coming up. But more importantly, episode 5, the Lake Herman Road Ambush main series. As soon as Gabe and I get it edited, you guys will see the promos posted out, and that'll be that. So join us next week for Badlands. Zodiac goes to the movies. We'll be reviewing the film Badlands, and also the Zodiac's Badlands letter. See what that raving lunatic had to say in his letter to the press.
Yeah, I've been interested in sure that.
Yes, absolutely. So shout out to everybody who came through. Red Cloud, Tim Starr,
Wall Street,
Jeff Jones, all those guys. And yeah, as always, keep your requests in the chat or in the comments below. And if you need to ping me, email me, or whatever regarding anything merch or anything from the channel, just hit me up on email or message me wherever you can. So without further ado, The Sword of Doom, 1966. We are out. Dual stream at Ashmosh Shinobi as always, so go over there and sub Gaz as well. Any final shout outs or notes, guys?
Just thanks as always for everybody coming through. Thanks for the support. Join us next week. Very interesting show coming up. And yeah, just thanks again, y'all.
Good stuff, guys. Sub here, sub over there, like, sub, share, and join us next week for Badlands. We are out. BKFC tonight, going for Lane. We're out. Like, sub, share.